All right. Ambassador Veena Sikri, in fact, Donald Trump had put out another post on Truth Social. If you allow me, ma'am, I'm going to read out to you. He said, "So hard to believe that Prime Minister Modi still has not responded to my tweets, statements, or tariff concerns. We gave India so much. Great deals, defense support, big crowds, and yet total silence. Not even a thank you. Don't forget, I'm the one who got India and Pakistan to declare a ceasefire. Nobody else could do that. Many people said I should have gotten the Nobel Peace Prize for it. India continues to benefit while American workers suffer. I've always liked Modi, but this kind of disrespect will not be forgotten. Bad for business, bad for friendship is what Donald Trump has just put out a few hours ago, ma'am. This sounds like some sort of a megalomaniac speaking. This is not how you deal with friends. It's just been over 48 hours since he put that out. It's going to take some time for India to respond to this. Is this something which India should be worried about, ma'am?
I think let me deal with a bigger issue. I have seen this post that you have just read out, but I don't know. Some people are saying it could be fake. It could be somebody deliberately putting out tweets like that to further worsen the relations. But overall, let's look at the situation. I think that first of all, India's response, the government of India's response, has been very timely and very correct. India has said clearly that we are going to continue to follow our national interest, number one. And number two, India will never give up the interest of Indian farmers, Indian entrepreneurs, and Indian MSMEs, micro, small, and medium enterprises. So I think India's commitment to sticking to its stand
All right,
is
ma'am.
very.
First of all, just like to apologize that post that I just read out, it is fake, is what I'm being told. So
Yes,
don't go
yes,
by
yes,
that, ma'am. But I'm
yes.
sure this is how Donald Trump feels from inside.
Yeah, that's right. No, I did hear that that was fake, so that's why I rather look at the bigger picture. So I did say that India's response has been very correct, and we have told Donald Trump we are willing to continue the negotiations, and we are continuing them. There's going to be a meeting later in August, but we will not give up our national interest. This is very, very important. I think the other issues with USA, the India-USA relationship, seems to be continuing. For example, there is an IMEC meeting on the India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor, for which they say that Ricky Gill from the National Security Council Secretariat of America from the White House will probably be coming. If that meeting goes through, that's fine. We know that 2 days ago, India and USA launched this very important NISAR satellite, jointly built by ISRO and NASA. So I think these issues are continuing. I agree with some aspects of what Dr. Sharad Kohli has said very realistically, that tariffs cannot be a long-term solution because they have introduced such an element of uncertainty in the global trade picture that it is bound to make countries very cautious. And I think India's response is dignified, calm, collected, and cautious. We are going to tell our exporters, look for further markets, because if you cannot depend on the US market, then you have to advise your exporters accordingly. Suppose suddenly tomorrow from 25 it's increased to 50%. It will create further havoc for India's exporters. So I think we have to, from the very beginning, look at the situation in a longer term perspective and see that if
Also, ma'am,
trade with America,
ma'am, if you
the second,
ma'am,
the second
sorry to
factor,
interject you, ma'am, but sorry to interject you, ma'am. How do you look at this kind of a saber rattling on behalf of Donald Trump from a macro perspective? You know, he's obviously threatening Russia at this point in time as well. He's threatening India for associating with Russia. What does this mean for global stability as well?
I think it's very dangerous. And I think that today, for example, you should read Prime Minister Carney, the Prime Minister of Canada, his letter on this subject. And he's been very clear that we are going to focus on Canada's interests. And we are not going to be swayed by any demands. We have done our best to accommodate what President Trump wanted on the US-Canada border trade in fentanyl and so on. We've put in a lot of additional effort, but beyond a point, you cannot respond to threats like this. International trade cannot be conducted like this. It will lead to a collapse because a zigzag in the prices will be very unstable. And I think that one point is there that the impact of these higher prices will ultimately reach the American consumer. If Apple iPhones are going to be exported from India, the made in India Apple iPhones are going to go to the USA, where is the tariff going to be met? Is the American government going to face the tariff. Apple says it'll cost them $1 billion. Then ultimately, will this be passed on to the American consumer? Is he prepared to pay higher prices? And if you want Apple iPhones to be made in America, is that going to happen in a day? So I think that all these issues are very, very relevant. There is currently a legal challenge within the USA to President Donald Trump's ability to put tariffs, because the legal challenge from 6 Democratic states says that it is the Congress which has to decide on tariffs and taxes. And President Trump cannot use his emergency powers for this purpose. This whole situation is very volatile. It's very much up in the air still, and I think Indian government has done absolutely the right thing to take such a cautious and dignified response and not to get involved in any dispute. I mean, when you talk about India and Pakistan, our Prime Minister has spoken to President Trump on the 16th of June on this very issue, and he has explained point by point, step by step, how trade was never an issue in the India-Pakistan discussions with any other country, and that the ceasefire has taken place only at the request of the Pakistani DGMO. Any other conversations can take place, but that is not mediation. And India has never accepted mediation between India and Pakistan by any third country. We will not do so now. I think this is the strong national consensus on this position. I think there is no way in which any government in India, and Prime Minister Modi is very, very firm on this point, any government in India can accept any third-party mediation. And our Foreign Secretary even said that, look, I was in on that conversation. I know that trade was never a part of any discussion at all. And we were informed at some point that, Pakistan is going to react and so on. But this is not mediation. We have taken our own decision. It is India's attacks on the 7th of May and the 9th and 10th of May that have caused havoc in Pakistan, from which they still haven't recovered. Many of their air bases are still non-functional. We know that the command and control center has been completely destroyed.
Fair enough, ma'am.
And why should we? So I think that we have taken.
Let me quickly also get Dr. Kohli once again into this conversation. Dr. Kohli,